Scoochie bit.
Todd confirmed gold player. Yeah, that gold border, right? what a what a lowly guy. No, this is DreamHack Open, guys, and only the best of the best are here. Now, it's really important, once again, I do remind you, we need your feedback on whether audio is good or bad. Please do me a favor in chat, guys, and type 1 if the audio sounds fine, and 2 if the audio sounds completely borked and messed up and you hear nothing in-game. For now, though, it's a new best of 3 for Stage 3 of DreamHack Open Bucharest 2014! I'm Rifkin, joined today by Zombie Grub, and we have ourselves quite a match, guys. Spawning here in the top right corner of the map from XMG, it's going to be the blue player, Todd.
And the top left, as the red Zerg, it is Evil Genius's Jaedong.
And I'm not looking at your camera, but I imagine you have an incredibly silly grin on your face, because I know how much you love Jaedong. Well, this should actually be a pretty good match. Todd just recently qualified for WCS, guys. If you missed those casts over the weekend, he actually played some really tough games against a lot of Zerg players, a lot of Protoss players, some of the most infuriating games, I'm sure, that he's played in a long time. But he comes up now against Jaedong, one of the toughest Zerg opponents, one of the people that has been most favorited to win DreamHack overall. I mean, whether he actually does or whether he comes second place, as he's forever been cursed too, only time will tell. But Stage 3 will be the last stage anybody gets to cast today. Tomorrow we finish up by combination the mainstream and Nathanius, I believe. So you guys will get to see the action unfold. Oh, bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, I've been feeling a little bit of like tugs here and there. They might hope it doesn't affect them in game. But well, it's even though Jaedong, okay, we can talk about like the you know how he hasn't been really performing that well in 2014. Even though he did get to like the semifinals or like the quarterfinals, really close to the semifinals, something like that, it wasn't really at a high profile tournament because it wasn't with a crowd or whatever. But besides all of that, we just don't know like what not day necessarily, but just is he in that like zone of ZVP? And this is actually the question because it's ZVP right now.
Well, I think he's in the zone. You know why? He took that gold base really quick before his own natural. So he's feeling very
pretty confident apparently.
This is something that can really get you ahead in this matchup, though. Unless Todd's going to go for an all-in move, it's really hard to punish this. As a result, Jaedong's going to have more Zerglings. He's got the potential for Roaches, and I think Todd's going to scout this right away. Oh, Todd is so smart.
Well, he didn't go for something. He went a little greedy.
Yeah, but he didn't do cannons. He can't really rush this. He can't punish
No, you can't.
everything.
Yeah, you can't bust it. But at least he didn't go Gateway, Submerix Core, and then a Nexus. Like he has a little bit of his own good going on. But you're right. Like it's just
That drone transfer, though.
it's painful to let him get away with this, but you just can't do anything about it.
You kind of have to. It's the reality of it, but only for so long. Again, once Todd starts defining his tech path, he may be actually able to do something. Now, there's people who joke about Todd being kind of a caster, player, caster, back and forth, whatever you want to be. But the thing is, not only does he play at a very high level of StarCraft to himself, he gets to witness other people play at a high level. He gets to learn from them. He's probably one of the few people who has access to replays of Jaedong to study off of him. Not that I'm sure he did leading into the event, but I'm just saying. The thing is, Todd's a good player because he's got all the resources available to make him one. And I gotta say, like, I know there's a lot of votes on the 2-0 on either side of the series, but again, I've been wrong all day, so maybe I'll be wrong again. I hope I'm not. This could very well be a 2-1. Because again, as Zombie Grub said, Jaedong might not be in that mindset right now. It's day one. He's just trying to get through it. The focus is on the prize of day two, where, you know, that's where you're crowned DreamHack champion.
And Todd has shown very clean play. You know, just last time we saw him against a Zerg player, I mean, it wasn't JD's caliber, but it was still very clean. Like, he could definitely take that same game and still be okay against probably any caliber. Very clean. And then when it did come down to the hard decisions against, say, Mutalisk, he made mostly the correct ones. So as long as he brings that game here, I think he does a really good shot to taking at least 2-1, maybe even, you know, in his favor.
First blood.
It's about time something died. Just gonna waiting on that to happen. But alright, looks like Todd's actually gonna go take his third at the gold as well. This is kind of a cute choice. It's one of the lesser taken, I feel, responses to your opponent taking the gold early. You also instead try and take your own, but actually, hang on, he doesn't have the minerals for this. I think he's just gonna be putting a pylon up here for the time being.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So this will be a really safe reinforcement point. A lot of the times you're really afraid of a couple lings running behind your army picking it off, but with the positioning of it, it's actually going to be very hard to get around and get on top of it. Meanwhile, Overlord at Jaedong is sacrificed to try and get a scout. He sees about 3 more gateways and 2 gases being taken, but unfortunately, nothing in the main really revealed. If he saw the Twilight Council, he might be a little bit antsy, but a Twilight Council versus Zerg is not exactly the same as a Blink All-In versus Terran.
Jaedong's gonna have a very appropriately timed Roach Warren to deal with anything pretty much any 3 gateways can throw at him. He's got to get him out now, though. Oh, it's gonna be close. ToD didn't wait for a second reinforcement, so he could start, trying to pick off some drones, maybe even that queen before the roaches can come out.
Well, the poor Spinecrawler might not get to see the light of day. It doesn't even get a melee hit off on the Zealot, unfortunately.
It didn't? I thought it might have gotten one, but yeah. So, a little unfortunate. That was almost, really perfectly timed. It's still going to be okay, as ToD is not reinforcing this push. He's going to recall out, loses a single stalker.
Kind of a cute move. It's unfortunate he couldn't get one of the queens, though. That would have been a really nice addition to the Spinecrawler, but wait until he's got Blink is a very, very smart choice to retain those stalkers. Again, Blink Micro, when done correctly, is so beautiful to watch. It takes some elegance, of course, and ToD is one of the players that has the control to actually pull it off.
Right. Jaedong going after this proxy pylon on the top. Actually gets it, and we'll lose the lings, but that was probably worth it. He did want to see, he probably wanted to use those to see if the third was actually going down or not. He's going to try and get in the natural, and there's an overload going into the main. He's going to see the gateways and maybe the Twilight Council.
I was a little bit worried that Zealot was slightly off position. It does look a little bit odd between those gateways.
I am watching the Overlord. He sees the Twilight Council, he sees it moving, and he sees the additional gateways.
Alright, so good scout out of Jaedong. Sacrificed, of course, but well done. I like the burrow coming out of these roaches as well. We saw Hingelisk actually try and do this for the America one, where even without tunneling claws, you can kind of preset your roaches down as well. Or if you just get caught by the force fields, ToD's not going to have an observer anytime soon, so you just plop yourself down, keep them alive, disengage, and when the force fields wear off, come back for round 2.
Yeah, exactly. Counterattack is set up by Jaedong to try and force ToD back just for a little bit more of time. But he's not going to be able to get it, and here comes the attack. How many roaches does Jaedong have?
Burrow's not quite done for this attack. Neither is Roach Speed. He is fighting on creep, which is a really nice advantage for him, but is it going to be enough? We see the Blink Stalkers starting to blink backwards. Those Lings really need to get in the front lines. They're chasing 3 Stalkers to cut off reinforcements. Really nicely controlled here out of Jaedong, and looks like he will be able to push this back, albeit just barely. ToD's still blinking away. These Stalkers, they've got cherries for HP. A couple of Lings actually execute one.
That was a pretty successful hold by Jaedong. He's at 53 drones, but he has the gold base, and he's even getting a 4th base. He is looking so good right now. And let's not forget that he did, in fact, get Burrow. He can continue this attack pretty much for free until that Robo actually manages to crank out an observer.
And let's not forget, it's a little bit scary too. This gold base is giving Jaedong a lot of momentum right now, but once he goes back to 3 bases and the gold's mined out, he loses that momentum. And a lot of players have had a lot of trouble kind of recognizing that and realizing like, okay, wait, I don't actually have 5,000 minerals to throw around. My income's not the same as it once was. But I don't think that might come into effect. If Jaedong can keep the pressure up like this, and at the very minimum, keep ToD on 2 bases, he'll be perfectly fine. Because Roach Hydra versus 2 base Colossus Blink Stalkers, I think can fare pretty well if handled correctly.
Yeah. It just really comes down to the fact that ToD is not going to feel comfortable pushing out to get a 3rd. It's just, when is it going to happen? He needs to at least wait for the observer, which I don't think he's really thought of yet. He's not. There it goes.
Yeah, it's on the way now. I think a big part of that too is like trying to decide how you want to use the supply, waiting for the pylons to finish up and such. It's kind of amazing just how much dead space is in the main. Curiously enough, if there were, like, say, Mutalisks available, there wouldn't be anything for them to pick off. Just one pylon powering 3 gateways, I guess.
Follow-up all-in maybe is ToD's idea. He's going to take care of all the Lings that are checking the 3rd bases, just so Jaedong doesn't know for sure this is an all-in, secondary all-in. It is going to be a 3rd. Okay, so he's going to try and hold this 3rd, maybe get up to Colossus. You can hold decently with Blink Stalkers, but it usually depends on your force fields cutting the army in half.
Yeah. He is funneling back towards the main. I think he is worried about possible Mutalisks, but we know that that's not going to be the case.
Well, he has a Phoenix in there.
I think, yeah, now that he's confirmed that there are Hydralisks available, something he wasn't able to see before. He's actually going to take a 3rd. I thought that was a fake to just kind of hide his all-in, but no, he's actually going to try and take this 3rd. I don't think that's going to work.
I don't think so either.
The overcharge isn't even going to be available for the set. Like, Time Warp's going to be necessary, I think, on top of this.
not bad. I thought maybe the concave was going to be there before the force fields could go down. It's still really tough. He's still doing a good job, though.
Zones the Hydra's back. I like that time warp as well from the force field start wearing off, but ToD, you know, simply defending isn't quite the goal here. To expend all that force field energy, you really need to get some kills, and unfortunately, that wasn't quite the case.
Yeah, there's a 3-pronged attack setting up from Jaedong. If he could, he'd go for the 4. If he could just get inside ToD's base.
The thing too is like if ToD recognizes this, he can kind of lean one way, and then he has to blink Stalkers, the sort of safe path to blink to. But now if he blinks back, he's gonna have to abandon a lot of his forces. Sentries, Immortals, that Mothership Core gonna go down here in just a sec. Hydra's coming from 3 angles. This was pointed out before, and the Roche line still standing strong. Stalkers being beaten back, but ToD not able to blink anywhere for safety. Now trying to maintain his Stalkers, realizing just how few he has left. Stuttering back toward his own natural, but Jaedong's coming across the map with 22 legs to follow this up. And this third base is a goner.
Yeah, it's gone. And so is ToD.
GG. Worth noting, guys, I'll say this real quick because someone's going to get all over it. ToD almost never GGs in any game you ever see him cast because he does it out of game a lot of the time. It's a weird quirk, but hey, that's him for you. So if he's actually being BM, you would never know. But I don't think he's going to be BMs. Not this series, not against Jaedong, not after game number 1, but that was game number 1.